Everyone loves a good creature feature, and one of the best creature feature types is the alligator or crocodile. One of the best and most recent examples of this is Alexandre Aja's Crawl, which came out a few years ago and was really quite a gem. It also got us thinking what some of the best ones are. From the hilariously campy to the horrifyingly credible, here are our top 10 favorite killer alligator / crocodile movies. Previously, we boldly stood up for Tobe Hooper's unabashedly trashy direct-to-video Crocodile, a movie that, while among the lower ratings of his illustrious filmography, is actually much more gory, violent, and overall fun than people give it credit for. While cheaply made and poorly acted, the great thing about this flick is the sheer amount of killer croc action and exorbitant death toll as the prehistoric beast named Flatdog chews, chomps, marauds, and masticates every damn annoying human in its path. A fall from grace in the eyes of many, Crocodile is minor key Hooper having a damn good time. Also known as the Big Alligator River, I'm willing to bet most of y'all have never even heard of, much less seen, giallo master Sergio Martino's 1979 Italian horror flick Alligator. But let me tell you should. Shot in Sri Lanka, the film is set in Africa as a tourism resort is overrun by a giant man-eating crocodile. The locals deem the beast some kind of ancient god native to the land, and after a while, begin to hunt down the tourists just as the croc hunts down anything with a pulse. An obvious Jaws ripoff, Martino shows little restraint with his savagely sickening killer croc attacks. From one Italian import to another, shot in the Dominican Republic under the direction of Fabrizio De Angelis, Killer Crocodile follows a legion of environmentalists dedicated to cleaning up toxic tropical waterways. One problem. A massive, flesh-munching croc dwells in said waters, and with its jarringly jagged teeth and scaly Loch Ness Monster appearance, it intends to murder and mandicate any poor person that dare get in its way. As another bold Jaws knockoff, Killer Crocodile is a whole lot of bloody fun. Also, look out for the sequel, Killer Crocodile 2, which was filmed simultaneously with the original. Okay, so Primeval is a pretty silly movie, but that primary antagonist of the film, a pissed-off supercharged killer croc, is no laughing matter whatsoever. No, not the TV series of the same name and year. We mean the exotic South African set action-adventure flick starring Dominic Purcell and Orlando Jones. While a whole roster of prehistoric beasties are featured in opposition to humanity, it's no doubt Gustav, the 18-foot, 1-ton man-eating monster that served as the basis of the 2004 documentary Capturing the Killer Croc. The abnormally sized beastie was last spotted in Central Africa in 2009. We here at JoBlo are betting dollars to dead bodies that very few of you have seen, much less heard about the unheralded Aussie creature feature Dark Age. Yes, starring Wolf Creek baddie John Jarrett. This movie rocks. Keeping with the basic plot of the entire list of films, the action kicks off in the Aussie outback when a giant crocodile begins swallowing the local human population. Here's the kicker though. While hunting the killer croc, one of the tour guides develops an ESP connection with the primordial predator and uses this link to defeat the ferocious foe. As ridiculous as it is visceral, Dark Age is a rarely seen but above average killer croc Jaws ripoff that was finally released in its native country 14 years after being made. A rare species indeed. Made almost 25 years ago for the pricey $35 million, Lake Placid is easily the biggest, dumbest, loudest, and perhaps most enjoyable of all the Killer Croc blockbusters to date. With a tone that's as cheeky as the imagery is freaky, the overly humorous bent makes the sillier FX-driven spectacles much easier to forgive than a movie that lacks the self-awareness to poke fun at itself. This movie knows exactly what it is and has a great time pandering to expectations. When a monstrous crocodile begins slurping people up from Black Lake, Maine, a ragtag assembly of anti-heroes led by Bill Pullman and Oliver Platt must unite and fight for their lives. Pure mindless bliss.
I'm rooting for the crocodile. I hope he swallows your friends whole.
If I had a dick, this is where I'd tell you to suck it.
The great thing about the little-known Australian chiller Black Water is that it attempts its subject matter with an authentic verve most of its ilk eschew in favor of exploitative action. The low-budget indie helmed by Andrew Traku and David Nerlich follows a vacationing family touring the Blackwater Berry tour in the South Australian mangroves. The idyllic sightseeing trip turns terrifying when a gargantuan crocodile capsizes the family's tour boat and proceeds to methodically hunt, maim, and imbibe each individual. The surviving family must make it safely to land despite their boat flipping over with the voracious monster lurking in the water beneath. Truly terrifying. We still maintain that Rogue largely suffered from the grand expectations Greg McLean left us with after the bone-clattering Wolf Creek. Why else has a movie this entertaining, gorgeously shot, and scintillatingly suspenseful flown under so many radars? I mean, hell, that dude from Avatar is in it, so you'd think Rogue would have far more fans. What I love about the movie is how scarcely McLean shows the humongous crocodile in full, only giving us hints through the corner of the frame suggestion. You know, a splash of water here, a tail whip there, etc. But then, when it comes time to scare the piss out of the main characters, and by proxy the audience, McLean goes the way of Jaws and gives us a gnarly sight to behold in the Croc's dark and dingy lair. In the 1980s, Louis Teague sort of cornered the market on killer animal horror flicks. 3 years before trying to tame Stephen King's Cujo, Teague all but won the job with his sewer-set creature feature Alligator. And Alligator is easily one of the all-time best killer croc horror flicks. Seriously, this movie kicks major butt. One of the reasons it does is due to the incredible script by Piranha's John Sayles. The other has to do with the deft blend of practical gators and a large mechanical animatronic replica, which often malfunctions so terribly that Teague was forced to shoot around the creature like Jaws. Dubbed Ramon, the animatronic was eventually donated to the Florida Gators, where he made several appearances as the team's mascot. As it starts, so it ends, with the late great Tobe Hooper, who, with 2 entries on the list, must be considered the foremost authority on all things Killer Gator. And while Eaten Alive is so much more than just a killer croc thriller, the mere sight of Bobby, my name is Buck,
I'm raring to fuck,
England, getting deservingly digested by the slavering maw of swamp-dwelling pet gator held on the side of the sleazy motel porch, is too glorious to avoid in the top spot. Honestly, this movie is pure horror gold. Neville Brand plays a homicidal maniac who runs a foul bayou brothel, murdering any untoward customer with a giant scythe blade before feeding their remains to his vicious pet gator in the swamp out front. The most unnerving aspect, though? The story was based on the real-life case of Joe Ball, a Texas barman who allegedly fed females to his pet gator. When he was about to be questioned for the murders by police, he took himself out.
If I had a dick, this is where I'd tell you to suck it.